Hello, my name is Joshua Johnson, and this is my Spanish 112 Culture Final Project. In the Spanish culture, there is a lot of interesting holidays, customs, foods, and music. But one of my favorite parts of this Hispanic culture is the Day of the Dead, or otherwise known as El Dia de los Muertos. This has always been a holiday I found interesting and loved learning and reading about. What is the Day of the Dead? The Day of the Dead is a holiday that starts on October 31st and ends November 2nd. During these special 3 days, Mexican families and people of Mexican heritage all across the world rejoice to celebrate their dead ancestors. The families gather to pray and remember friends and loved ones who have passed on. The holiday is mainly celebrated by Central and South regions in Mexico, but is spread to the U.S. The logic behind the holiday is that once a year on these 3 days, the line separating our world from the land of the dead dissolves, so that souls from the land of the dead can come and celebrate and party with living family members. History/background. El Dia de los Muertos started around 3,000 years ago in the pre-Columbian Mesoamerica era. The Aztecs, who lived in what is now central Mexico, celebrated the Day of the Dead, or to them, the month of the dead. In the month of August, they would honor the dead by praising the Lord and Lady of the underworld and making sacrifices. They believed that once you died, you traveled to Chumalquetan, or otherwise known as the land of the dead. They also believed that there was 9 levels, each more challenging than the next, and after completing each level, you would then go to the final resting place, Meteclan. The Aztecs weren't the only ones who had a celebration for the dead. Ancient Europe had a pagan celebration that took place during the fall that consisted of dancing, bonfires, and feasts, all to celebrate the dead. During the rise of the Roman Catholic Church, they took this holiday and adopted it into their culture, naming it All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, which take place on November 1st and 2nd. When Spanish conquistadors came to the New World, they brought this holiday with them that eventually blended with the Aztecs' holiday to create what we know as the Day of the Dead. How it is celebrated. The Day of the Dead is not like Halloween. Although sharing some traditions, it is very different. The main thing these two holidays have in common are costumes and parades. Although each family has different celebrations, on this holiday, some still say the same. The main tradition that families have is that they would visit the graveyard where loved ones are buried and clean it up by pulling weeds and putting nice new flowers down. They would also put out loved ones' favorite food and nice candles out. This tradition can't work for families who have graveyards that close at night. Instead, they set out ofrendas, which is altars dedicated to the ancestors. The ofrenda would include pictures of the loved ones, food, candles, drinks to quench their thirst after their long journey, and flowers. Usually marigolds because the official Day of the Dead flower, which you can see on the bottom right of my presentation. There is also an ofrenda from the movie Coco, which includes pictures, flowers, candles, and Day of the Dead skeletons. Communities also do celebrations by throwing parades where thousands gather to watch. The parades are very popular, with the biggest parade in Mexico City that has skeleton dancers and bands that play. The parades are so popular that they spread to the U.S. Many large popular cities host parades like Chicago, Los Angeles, and Fort Lauderdale, and many more cities to come. Here is a video of the first ever Day of the Dead parade hosted by Mexico City.
James Bond movie.
High expectations.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think we hope to see a little bit more traditional Mexican culture and just to see people be excited to be here.
Para mí es una festividad que deberíamos de mantener todavía viva. Últimamente se ha estado perdiendo nuestra identidad por costumbres extranjeras y siento que tenemos una cultura muy grande de donde poder tomarnos y seguir festejando el Día de Muertos.
Why it's a holiday. The Day of the Dead is a holiday because of several reasons. First off, death has always been seen as an ever-present part of life, and since they hold death so high, it deserves a holiday. Second off, death is widely known as a sad, depressing part of everyone's life. Each person will experience death of friends and loved ones. So the Hispanic culture thought to turn this sad part into a celebration. They saw an opportunity to turn sadness into happiness and celebrate their ancestors who have passed on. That is what makes this culture so rich. They realize families picking up the pieces after loved ones die need a good way to mourn in the right way, so by treating death as a celebration. Pop culture. El Dia de los Muertos has become very popular in the last few years in the US. So popular that we have brought it into our pop culture with songs, books, learning about it in school, and movies. In school, during Spanish class in middle school, we had a whole lesson directed to this one holiday, which was always my favorite. Movies have also incorporated the Day of the Dead into their pop culture. One of the biggest films that has hints of this holiday is the 2015 James Bond film Spectre, which is a scene of a large Day of the Dead parade in Mexico City. The video I showed earlier is the first Mexico City parade that was done based off this movie. Another movie that is based off this holiday is the 2017 film Coco, that was produced and published by Disney and Pixar. This film that made $731 million worldwide is about a young boy named Miguel, who lives in Mexico. Miguel loves music, but his family hates it due to his great-grandfather leaving to follow his dream of music. On the night of the holiday, Miguel travels to the land of the dead by accident. He tries to get back to his living family, but can't because he won't give up music. He won't because it runs in his blood, because he soon finds out that his great-grandfather is Ernesto de la Cruz, a very famous musician in Mexico. He meets a man named Hector, who tries to help him find Ernesto and unlock the real story behind Miguel's family history. Now, I will show you the trailer of the Disney Pixar film Coco.
Oh, it's you. You're gonna get me in trouble, Dante. Someone could hear me. I wish someone wanted to hear me. Other than you. I know I'm not supposed to love music. No music. No music. But my great-grandma Coco's father was the greatest musician of all time. Papa. Ernesto de la Cruz. One day, he left with his guitar and never returned. Now my family thinks music is a curse. Great-great-grandfather, none of them understand me. I'm supposed to play music.
All right, who's in there?
I'm sorry. What's going on? I'm just dreaming. Ah!
Do you mind?
Welcome to the land of the dead. Dante, wait up! You gotta stay with me, boy. This isn't a dream then. You're all really out there. Agents at the Department of Family Reunions are available to assist you.
Please be on the lookout for a living boy.
Miguel, you're here.
We're your family, mijo.
I know your great-great-grandpa. I'll get you to him. What are you doing?
I'm walking like a skeleton.
No, skeletons don't walk like that.
It's how you walk.
No, I don't. When there's no one left in the living world who remembers you, you disappear from this world. But you can change that.
We gotta find my great-great-grandpa.
You gotta do it by sunrise.
What happens at sunrise?
You'll be stuck here forever. What?
Oh.
I'm a big fan.
Never forget how much your family loves you. It's almost sunrise.
One cannot deny who one is meant to be.
It's you! I am terribly allergic,
But Dante doesn't have any hair.
and I don't have a nose, and yet here we are. It's
The movie that I personally loved and recommend has many different themes. First off, the biggest theme is the main reason why this is a national holiday, which is to celebrate family. It shows the importance of family, but also has some darker themes like death and loss covered by comedy and musical numbers. The movie also shows a lot of resemblance to the real holiday. It was set out to be culturally correct by filmmakers and make it movie feel more native than tourist. The film included the land of the dead, people making ofrendas and cleaning graves with new flowers and food. It also made sure that the flowers used were marigolds, which is known as the Day of the Dead flower. My Day of the Dead. The Day of the Dead is about celebrating ancestors who have passed on, so I did some research through my family to create what would be my Day of the Dead. On my father's side, I have my abuelo Ray Johnson. I have my bisa abuelo John Johnson, my bisa abuela Irene Johnson, my tarta abuelo Clarence Johnson, and my tarta abuela Sally Johnson, which you can see on the left side of my family tree. On my dad's mom's side, I have my bisa abuelo Hal Beasley, which you can see right here, and my bisa abuela Maddie Beasley. Then on my mom's side, I have my bisa abuela Mary Elizabeth Bowen, and my bisa abuelo Harry G. Bowen. On my mom's dad's side, I have my bisa abuela Willis Ben Converse and my bisa abuela Ruth Converse, which you can see on the right side of my family tree. Also, to keep in mind, the black font is the people that are still living. Conclusion. El Dia de los Muertos is a celebration across the Hispanic culture. It is not just a time to celebrate, but also a time to teach the young and the family about their ancestors and to bond over it. The 3 days are a time to enjoy with the dead as they cross over to be met with parades, family, foods, and drinks, and music and more. The holiday has gone through a lot from its start 3,000 years ago in central Mexico to now, where it is one of the biggest holidays in the Hispanic culture worldwide. As each family has its own customs, on these days, the main theme has always stayed the same: to remember and celebrate family. I have loved this holiday since middle school and love learning about it more throughout this project. Gracias y adios.